she has been serving Srila Gurudeva for so many years. Like it's unimaginable and uncountable. And the Rupa Goswami festivals that you saw in Gopinath Bhavan, she was taking in charge of and looking after for so many years. And she's just always continuously serving, and she's always got a beautiful smile on her face. And every time I see her, I'm feeling at peace, and I'm always remembering Srila Gurudev and how merciful he is. So with great pleasure, honor, love and affection, I would like to invite Srimati Manjari Didi from Hawaii. Haribol Didi, Dandavat Pranams.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti.Vedanta Swami Te Namahe. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachana Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschacha Deshata. Mam Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Sriman Bhakti Vedanta Namahe. Shri Krishna Lila Katane Sudaksham Audorya Madhurya Gunaistyutam Narayanam Purusham Mahantam Narayanam Tvam Shadasam Mam Vishwapadaya Guru Prastat Srimati Bhakti Vigyan Bharati Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhyavacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Yasya Deve Parabhaktir Yata Deve Tata Guru Tasyaite Katitya Yartya Prakashante Mahatmanaha. Only unto those great souls with implicit faith and Parabhakti in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge revealed. And in this verse, which is actually the last verse of the Svetasvatara Upanishad, which Srila Gurudeva was very fond of. So this is explained. Yasya Deve Parabhakti. Those who have Parabhakti, implicit faith in the Lord. But then there's this like parenthetical phrase, Yata Deve Tata Guru. That means as much to the Lord as much to the spiritual master as you have to the Lord. So it's like that it's translated implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master, but really the emphasis is on the spiritual master. As much for the spiritual master as you have in the Lord, because we only know the Lord through the spiritual master. So by this way, everything is revealed. So today, this is the day we are all absorbed in feelings of separation. Srila Prabhupada once said that he is never separated from his Guru Maharaj, and his Guru Maharaj was always before him. I long for that day. But on this day, Srila Gurudeva gave us viraha. He gave us separation. Everything the Guru does is to teach and bring his disciples closer to Krishna. So, what is the value of separation? And you can say, what is the value of that pain? This is the greatest pain. In the Ramananda Samvad, in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lord Chaitanya asks, of all kinds of distress, what is the most painful? And Ramananda Roy answers, apart from separation from the devotee of Krishna, I know of no unbearable separation. And in the Brihad Bhagavatamrita, in chapter 5, this is the chapter 5 of the first canto, when Narad Muni visits the Pandavas, Yudhishthir says, out of all kinds of desirable things experienced in the life of a living entity, association with the devotees of the Lord is the greatest. When we are separated from devotee, even for a moment, we cannot enjoy happiness. So this is a subject, this viraha or vipralamba, it's separation. It's an exalted subject matter for which I really unqualified to speak. It's like for me to speak on this subject matter requires a tremendous amount of audacity. But I'm going to share what Srila Gurudeva taught me, both directly and indirectly, about Vipralamba. So we know that the bhav of Vipralamba nourishes milan or union. The meeting of Radha and Krishna becomes so much sweeter when there has been separation. Yearning to meet increases the desire. And in the Navadvipta Mahatmya, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the bhaktas know that the distress that arises from separation from Krishna is in reality the most exalted bliss. This is because one derives millions of times greater happiness from the meeting after Vipralamba than happiness of meeting prior to Vipralamba. So we know that we understand how this is a very great thing. But frankly, I had reached a point once where I had a lot of doubts about this. Because Krishna had left Vrindavan. When he left, this was not a small separation. He left his mother and his father. He left the gopis and the gopas. They were experiencing great pain. The pain of Srimati Radhika there's no comparison to that. And why? And for so long, how could Krishna have left the Brijbasis for so long? And they loved him so much. I couldn't understand this, even though I understand, the meeting is much better after Vipralamba. Yes, but so long, so much pain. So Maharaj was speaking on Vipralamba. This was in and remember he asked Jiva. Jiva was not Vishnu Maharaj yet. He was asking him questions about this, and he answered properly. And I was thinking, oh, I could never say those things. And so I went to him and I said, I just don't understand it. I can't understand the pain of Srimati Radhika. How could Krishna cause that? How could he be gone for so long? And Maharaj looked at me, he said, oh, you don't understand Vipralamba? And I said, no, I don't like it at all. And he said, it's very important that you understand Vipralamba. He said, try to understand that when Radha and Krishna are together, they are completely absorbed in one another. And they know nothing else. They don't know where they are. They don't know what time of the day it is. They don't know who is with them. They're not aware of what they're doing. They're only aware of being together. And so it says, but in separation, when Radharani is separated from Krishna, then she remembers everything. She remembers where they were. She remembers who was there. She remembers all the details, what Krishna was doing, what he looked like. All of this comes back to her in separation. And so I was thinking of this, and it was like that for us in a small way. When Gurudev was with us, the world fell away. We wanted to be near him, to receive his piercing glance, his comments, to know that we were pleasing him. And the devotees sacrificed their families, their careers, their youth. And time passed so quickly. Years went by. And it just seems to be a moment. But now we're remembering the very first time I had darshan with Srila Gurudeva. It was Srila Prabhupada's appearance day. And I didn't realize at that time how monumental it would be. I had no idea. But when I left Mathura and I was taking this rickshaw back to Vrindavan, all I could think of was, how could Krishna leave Vrindavan? How could he go to Mathura and not return? How could he give the Brajavasis so much pain? I had no idea why I was thinking like that. But I now know that Gurudev gave that to me so that later I could ask him and he could explain it. These things we remember. And then once we were going to Navadvip Parikrama. We got there the day before Sankalpa. And we went to hear Gurudev speak. At that time, the property was purchased, but the temple wasn't built yet. It had just been purchased. And Gurudev was speaking in some room on the property. And he was telling this story in that darshan, or no, it was more of a class. But in that class, he told this story. He said that when Krishna went to Mathura, Mother Yashoda was mad. And she was chastising Nanda Maharaj for allowing Krishna to stay, for not bringing Krishna home, and for not going to get Krishna. She was chastising. And then she was saying that she would go to Mathura and she would go to Devaki and she would ask her if she could please become a sweeper in her palace. And she would, every day, she would sweep the palace of Devaki. And in return, she asked only that she could see Krishna once a day. And so Maharaj, Gurudev was telling this story. And it is such a heart-wrenching story. And I was listening to it. And I was thinking, why is he telling this story right before Navadvip Parikrama? And I was thinking about that. And I mean, the story is so, it's so sad. And right before Navadvip Parikrama, it's like I didn't get it. I couldn't understand. And I wanted to ask Gurudev why he was telling that story right before Navadvip Parikrama. And I didn't get a chance because in Navadvip Parikrama there were so many people there. He was very busy, and I never got a chance. But I didn't forget it. And when he came to Mathura, in Vrindavan, finally he went to Govardhan. And at that time, this is sometime after Navadvip Parikrama, but he was in Govardhan and we had a chance to go for darshan. And I asked him, do you remember you told that story? It was right before Navadvip Parikrama about Mother Yashoda wanting to sweep the palace of Devaki. And she could see Krishna once a day that way. And he said, yes. And I said, why did you tell that right before Navadvip Parikrama? And he said, because I'm leaving this world and I want you to know. And I was shocked. And I just said, no. And Maharaj, he is like, at that point, everybody's attention in the room turned to us. They were ignoring us. And he just turned to the next person and he began a conversation. And he wouldn't look at me again. Then, some years later, he told the story again in Badger. That was the last time he was in Badger. And he told the story in Mathura in more detail. Yes, how he spoke in Mathura. And I was remembering those things. And also in Navadvip. Remember how in Navadvip he would tell the story of Lord Ramachandra every year. The first time I heard it was actually he was telling it in Janadweep. In Janadweep, we used to stop in a grove of mango trees and he would speak. Parikrama wasn't so big then. And now that grove of mango trees is not there. And even in Gurudev's time, he would go on to Mamgachi, to Vrindavan Das Thakur's place and speak. But at that time we were in Janadweep, right before we entered Mamgachi. And so he would tell the story of how Ram was underneath the banyan tree and he was slightly smiling. And Sita looked at him And she said, why are you smiling? And he explained that because in Kali Yuga, he would appear in a golden form as Gauranga. And at that, he said, in this appearance, you will go to the forest and I will worship golden form of you. And in the Kali Yuga, when I appear as Gauranga, then I will go to the forest and you will worship a golden form of me. And Sita says, why? Why would you go to the forest? And Ram explains why, so that you can taste the sweetness of Vipralambha. And then Gurudeva would say how later in his pastimes, Lord Ram sent Sita away. And she went to live in the hermitage of Valmiki Rishi. And there she had twin sons, Love and Kush. And then there was a great sacrifice. And Ram was doing this sacrifice, and Vashishta says to him, you have to be married. You have to get married to do this sacrifice. And Ram said, no, Ekapatni Vrata, I will only have one wife. And so they made a golden form of Sita for the sacrifice. And so they were having the sacrifice, and they invited the people from the ashrams close by, and the disciples of Valmiki Rishi, who were Love and Kush, came, and they chanted the Ramayana. And the Ramayana was sung so beautifully by them. They had no idea that they were singing about their mother and father, but they were singing so beautifully that after that, Ram asked Lakshman to go and ask who they are. Who are these young boys? And so Lakshman went, and he said, Lord Ram loves your singing. Who are you boys? Who are your mother and father? And Love and Kush said, we are the disciples of Valmiki Rishi. You shouldn't ask us who our parents are. It's not proper for brahmacharis. Lakshman went back to Ram and he said, yeah, if I had sons, they'd be like that also. Meanwhile, the boys told Sita everything that was happening. And she went to Valmiki Rishi and asked him what she should do. And he said, you should follow your heart. And the next day, Sita appeared at the sacrifice. And everybody knew that Sita was there. And the only person who wouldn't look at her was Ram. And he said that she would have to undergo another test. And she said, another test? After everything? And so she said, if I have never looked at the face of another man, of a man other than my husband Ram, then let this earth open up and take me. And she said this 3 times, and the earth opened up, and Mother Bhumi came, and she took Sita on her lap and took her into the earth. In front of her Ram, in front of Love and Kush, in front of everyone. And Ram took a bow and he wanted to kill the earth. And Valmiki told him, no, I think Vasishta told him, no, you let Sita go. She's gone before you. Your time here is almost finished. Let her go. And Gurudev would tell this story with tears flowing down his face every time. And all the Bengalis, there is such soft-hearted devotees, would be crying as well. And he told us that the theatrical groups would perform this Leela in the villages night after night. But the thing was that the same villagers would attend like in the village, they're performing the same Leela, but the same people would come and hear it again and again, see it again and again. And why is this? Because the taste of Vipralamba is transcendental. The taste of Vipralamba is actually, it is bitter, but it is also very sweet. And so, just as transcendence can be proved logically only in the negative, like the process of nyaya, only in the negative. So in the material world, we are most able to understand and realize spiritual attachment in separation. That separation burns. But in that burning, we remember our love and it keeps us alive. There is this story of like Guru Maharaj Srila Prabhupada. He was with Tamal Krishna, and Tamal Krishna Maharaj said that he had not been chanting very well. And Srila Prabhupada said, oh yes, I also. And Tamal said, no, Srila Prabhupada, no, I just haven't had that concentration that I've needed to chant. My chanting isn't very good. And Srila Prabhupada said, I also. And Tamal tried to explain the 3rd time, no, this is what I'm talking about myself. We're not on the same level. And Srila Prabhupada said, no. He said, we cannot chant. He said, but we can have the desire to chant. And so this is the same thing, that it is the desire that will be our strength. It is the desire to serve Guru. It is the desire to see Guru that will purify us and allow us to serve Krishna. And that desire comes strongest in separation. So this is, I guess, what I've learned about Vipralamba from Srila Gurudeva. So I don't know about my time at all, but I'd like to end here. Vancha kalpatru vyascha kripa sindhubhya Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo.
Jai. Thank you so much, Didi. What to say? This mood, this mood of separation is so important in our relationship with Srila Gurudeva, and not just him, but so many other Vaishnavas. And how you've explained it, and how, see, like for example, I don't know what separation is, because if I did, then I would not be in the position I am. I'd be doing something else. But when you see separation in Srila Gurudev for his Guru Maharaj, or for the other Vaishnavas, you start to see something, or you start to see, when you hear Gurudev speaking about separation, of when he's speaking about the Ramayana, or whether he's speaking about the pastimes of Radha Krishna, you start to see something, that there's something beyond this world, and something beyond the concept of harshness in separation, because the way that they present that mood is so beautiful, that it's like, how to explain it? You spoke about it being such an exalted subject, and it's like you could speak hours and hours and hours on this subject matter, but until you actually start feeling, I think this is one thing that I'm learning here, is that once you start feeling that separation, then, and that taste for that separation, you can try in so many words to explain it, but really, until you've sat and tasted that expression and that feeling, it's very difficult to present it. But you've done it in such a way that it's opened up so many people's hearts. I know it's opening up mine, of what I should be feeling for Srila Gurudev, just through how he's experienced separation of his worshipful deities, including Param Gurudev, including the Vaishnavas, including Lord Ram and Sita, but more so including the Vraja Gopis, and the highest being Radharani. And it makes you think that, oh, Gurudev left that place for me, that separation he's feeling from them, so that he could help us. Is so many things that are coming to me. I'm sorry if I'm not expressing what I've heard from you, because it's so deep what to say, but you've explained it in such a beautiful way, and I'm so ever grateful for you that you've come and spoken about this subject matter and how important it is for us. And I pray to Srila Gurudev that somehow or another, that this mood of separation remains the most prominent thing in my life, because if that remains a prominent thing, then that means that I will try my hardest to get to know him and get to meet him again. Otherwise, there's no possibility of me trying to meet him. If I feel no separation, then someone like me will never get to meet him again. So thank you so much for speaking and such beautifully. Koti Dandavat Pranams, Didi.